welcome. I'm David Lough, and I'm president of the Downtown Sarasota Condominium Association. We're meeting, exclusively by Zoom today, but hopefully next month we will be face-to-face or face-to-face hybrid. So happy Groundhog Day. I see that the prediction is for 6 more weeks of winter up north. We had our winter over the weekend, so hopefully that's about the last of it. We're back to normal. And I also note that it's February 2nd of 2022, so we're 2/2/22, and I hope that that's a good omen for our meeting today. So welcome again, everybody. I polled, and I also believe Commissioner Alpert is on the call. I'm not sure I'm seeing her, but Commissioner Alpert, are you there? Well, she's not on yet, but she, I think, registered to be in attendance. So we hope that she's with us, and I don't believe we have any other commissioners on the Zoom today. So I did poll all of you in advance of the meeting, and I believe, with the exception of Roger Berry, all of the board members are here, so we can declare a quorum. That's good and appropriate, and we can get going. Jamie, I guess the next order of business would be the secretary's report, and would you take it away with your remarks, please?
Yep. Did everybody get a copy of the January 5th minutes?
Yes, did.
Any changes, edits, etc.?
Move acceptance.
Second.
Who was the second?
Okay,
Ken.
Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, by consensus, we'll adopt the minutes. Clark, you're next about our treasurer's report, and with interest rates continuing to go up, I assume that interest income is growing pretty rapidly.
Yes, that's right. And plus our major investment in cryptocurrency has helped a great deal. We are at $18,532 and 02 cents. So that's our balance, 15,532 and 2 cents on 02/02/2022.
Okay, well, good. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? That said, and I'm not seeing Marlon. Marlon, are you there? I hope.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay.
I'm so happy to be introducing our city manager, Marlon Brown, to be our guest today. Marlon and I guess got to know one another 4 years ago, and I've really enjoyed the experience. It was about a year ago exactly, Marlon, that I believe you were officially made city manager. So on that anniversary, we would like to welcome you as our guest speaker. It seemed like a good time to have City Manager Brown with us. It's near the start of the year. There are a number of specific projects that are moving ahead of interest to downtown residents. And as funny as it may be, seeing the initial planning for next fiscal year's budget is being discussed right now, and we'll be moving ahead up through May and through adoption, in more or less adoption in the summer. So possibly Marlon might tell us about some of the initiatives that he sees that might be coming down the path. So Marlon, the format we've kind of agreed is Marlon's going to speak for 10 or 15 minutes with a general update, and then we'll have an opportunity for board members to have a little back and forth dialogue with some questions and so forth. So with that said, Marlon, would you take it away, sir?
Okay, thank you very much, David, for that introduction. And Thanks for having me. I believe, David, you're correct. It was probably about a year ago that I last spoke to the Downtown Sarasota Condominium Association. So again, thanks for having me back again. Yes, it's been a 1-year anniversary. I don't know if I'm still on my honeymoon or if the honeymoon has ended, but it has been a really good, I think, successful year that the city of Sarasota has seen. So with that, just a quick couple of dates. And David, what I really want to do is I'm going to kind of speak less and open it up more for questions. I believe I have like 30 minutes on this Zoom call. So I'm going to really leave it up to more questions than giving updates. I think the biggest thing that that I will say that the city has done over the last year was Bobby Jones. By far, I think the decision and the approval that the commission gave to put into perpetuity conservation easement over the 261 acres is really long lasting and an enduring legacy that will be upon us and our generations after generations for a long time. And so I look forward to seeing what the fruits of that decision would bear. Obviously, the first step is to get the construction of those 18 holes completed, and then the 9-hole executive course completed as well. Working right now together with the Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast to see what we can do with the nature park part of that 261 acres, and then also to see what will happen with the 12 acres that we conveyed to Sarasota County for a regional destination playground for tots and young kids. So I think in terms of what we will foresee with the 261 acres will be really, really exciting for this community and for the community as a whole as it develops over the next year to 5 years to 10 years. And I will say that at the end of this, in maybe 50 years, 75 years, or 100 years, as I said at the dais, this will be the central park of Sarasota and Sarasota County. As everything grows up around it, as everything develops around it, this 261 acres will remain green space, and people are going to look back at all of us, David, you included, and say what a legacy decision that was made in terms of preserving the 261 acres. So that's Bobby Jones. I'm not going to touch much on the Bay Park. That is continuing to move forward. The first phase is underway, and we're very excited to see what happens come June, July, August, September, when phases open piece by piece on that phase 1. The mangrove walk is completed. The bayou has been dredged. And many of you who may have walked that site, seeing the concession area, the restrooms, the shade structure, all of that is going up right now as we speak. And so I'm very excited about what the future holds for the 53 acres as we work together with the Bay Park Conservancy to see each one of those phases develop. Right now, they're going through some comp plan amendments, some zoning text amendments to see how we can really move with a little bit more urgency in getting that 53 acres turned from asphalt and concrete into a blue-green oasis. And it is not to try to cut corners, but it's really to try to see how quickly we can deliver to this community a really awesome park that people can enjoy for years and years and generations to come. Part of the Bay Park, obviously, is the Sarasota Performing Arts Center. That is the new performing arts hall that is under conceptual design right now. We're looking at about 2,200 seats that will take the place of the existing Van Wezel Performing Arts Hall that has served us for the last 40 to 50 years. In working with the Van Wezel Foundation, this is another true monumentous task in of itself that I think this community will be proud of once this project is completed. They're in the fundraising campaign right now. They had their gala this past last week, and announced that they have raised the first $20 million towards the new Performing Arts Hall, which will also have a 400-seat education facility. It will be a state-of-the-art facility as well, that some of the Broadway shows that we can't really host right now at the existing Van Wezel Hall would be able to come to this new Performing Arts Hall. It will be located right there at the corner of 10th and 41, and it will be a true attraction that when people drive by and they see this new Performing Arts Hall, I think it will spark their interest to ask what else is beyond that Performing Arts Hall. And once people get into that 53 acres, I think they will be astounded as to what they will see and what will be inviting them to not only visit the Performing Arts Hall, but to visit the 53 acres. And so, putting that aside, that is going to be a heavy lift. It'll be a heavy lift in terms of fundraising. The estimated costs for that new Performing Arts Hall could be anywhere between $250 million to $350 million. Once the conceptual design is more fine-tuned in terms of getting to a true design, getting some architects on board, we'll have a true cost as to what that Performing Arts Hall will cost us. At a staff level, obviously the commission has not yet approved this. At a staff level, we have tentatively agreed that the city, through either the TIF, the tax increment financing, and or state or federal funds that may become available, that we will help secure at least 50% of the cost of construction for that Performing Arts Hall. But again, this has to be approved by the city commission. And we're working together right now with the Van Wezel Foundation to put an agreement together that will go before the city commission on that front. A couple of projects that are of interest to the Downtown Sarasota Condominium Association and those of you who live in the Rosemary district. We expect that in the next week or two that we'll have the demolition permits for the Rosemary Pocket Park. That David Lough has been riding herd for the last 3 years to get done. But the permits should be ready definitely in the next week or two. By the end of February, we hope to have the demolition done. Kimberly Horn is working right now on some conceptual designs for the park, and we estimate that hopefully by mid-March the demo should be completed. The timeline for construction will obviously be determined once we get the design and once we determine how much it's going to cost to get the park done. I will tell you, for those of you who attended the Pink Fest the last 2 weeks ago, I am really excited about what the Rosemary district will end up being. From all the murals that I see going up, from the types of street events that are happening in terms of the night market, I just foresee Rosemary being the next place to be in terms of our downtown area and just what's happening, to really draw individuals to really have events and have entertainment in and around our downtown. So, David, kudos to you, and kudos to Anand and all of those who are involved with the Rosemary district in terms of really creating a space that people could enjoy and could really have some fellowship. Another couple of projects that we're working on, obviously Boulevard of the Arts and 10th Street. Just a quick couple updates on those projects. If you can just hold on one quick second, let me just quickly get to those projects, give you some updates. My screen isn't working here quickly. Okay, here we go. All right, on the Boulevard of the Arts and the 10th Street, Kimberly Horn has started the work on the streetscape concept. The community survey has been issued, and I think many of you have already participated in that survey. It has been sent to the Downtown Sarasota Condominium Association with distribution. So as I said, I believe, many of you already have it. The city also will be hosting a public meeting in the spring. Once Kimberly Horn has developed the concepts for you all to review that and to see the type of designs that we've come up with to really make these streets available to all. When I say available, I mean pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists alike. We're also working on an intersection design for US 41 and Boulevard of the Arts. We initially had conceptualized putting a roundabout there, but we just don't have the necessary right-of-way to really have a really good functional roundabout. So I know that staff had met with David. I believe that they may have met with DSCA, I believe, in last week or week before, to share those concepts. And again, we will continue working with those designs. Obviously, we have to work with FDOT to finalize those, but again, the commission will have to also approve that design as well. More towards downtown and Main Street. Again, we're looking to have 2 projects on Main Street. One will be on Upper Main between Links and 301. That project will be done together with the 1991 Main that's about to be under construction, a 400+ unit apartment complex with commercial space on the ground floor. They are doing the north side of Main Street. We have committed to do the south side. What we want to do is kind of replicate what's on Lower Main between 5 Points and Gulfstream. We want to do the same thing for Upper Main with wider sidewalks, the ability to have sidewalk cafes, and the ability for people to feel safe in terms of using, the sidewalks and the pedestrian ways. The next project that we're working on is Main Street between 5 Points and Orange. And again, there are a number of concepts that have been envisioned. One that they did had done through John Moran and David Johnson that kind of replicate what Lemon Avenue looked like. I am not too keen on that one because of the cost associated with that. I hope everyone can still see me. Can you still see me? Hello?
Hello?
No.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm on my phone, so let me see if I can get back here. All right, can you all see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
Yes, much better.
My phone went dead just now there. Anyway, so we want to have the same concept as Lower Main, also between Orange and 5 Points. Again, widening the sidewalks, creating a more pedestrian environment, creating a more safe environment for not only vehicles but pedestrians alike. And so we want to widen the sidewalks, put in some landscaping. I don't believe doing a Lemon Avenue style design is the right design for Main Street, but again, at the end of the day, we'll see where where the cards lay for those designs. And again, cost is going to be one of the biggest issues. Kind of turning a little bit on the direction I've given my staff on a lot of these major projects that we're talking about. Everyone is aware that the federal stimulus bill has been approved. It's a huge infrastructure bill. I have told my staff that I want us to be very competitive when it comes to being able to tap into those infrastructure dollars. So if many of you remember the last infrastructure bill that was done under President Obama, a lot of the money went to those projects that were what were so-called shovel ready, that were already in design. And so we are expediting a lot of these designs. We are expediting a lot of the conceptual design so that when the dollars start flowing through the state, through the state agencies and departments, Sarasota can put its hand up first and say, hey, we're ready. We have the design. We just need the money to be able to do the construction. So a lot of these projects that we spoke about, whether it's 10th Street, Complete Street, the Boulevard of the Arts, Complete Street, the intersection design at Boulevard of the Arts on 41, Main Street. All of these projects, I really want them to be shovel ready. We talk about Bobby Jones. I want these projects to be shovel ready so we can be very competitive and we can be first in line that when these infrastructure dollars become available. It means, really helping our economy. It means creating jobs. It really means, putting Sarasota on the forefront of, getting ready for these dollars. One of the things that the commission is getting, the commission has done is also approve the strategic plan. I'm not going to go into the details of that. That was approved at the last city commission meeting. It's available or should already be available on our website. But take an opportunity to peruse the strategic plan and see what the 10 new projects are that the commission will be and the city will be undertaking over the next 2 years. It's not a difficult read, unlike previous strategic plans. And one of the things that I have directed staff to do is really make sure that these projects, and again, this is understanding their workload, that these projects are also a priority, for the community. Big meeting that's coming up next Monday is the commission's first review of the projects that will be possibly funded by the extension of the surtax that will become available. This is the penny that will become available in 2025. We have about 30-something projects that staff is recommending that the commission approve to move forward. It's about $191 million over the next 15 years, starting in 2025. The current penny ends in 2024, December of 2024. I think this is, again, everyone who's on this call, this is probably one of the most important votes that you're going to be taking in November, is to extend this penny for another 15 years. These are your roads, these are your bridges, these are your parks, these are, we talk about complete streets. These are water quality projects. These are, items dealing with water quality in terms of ensuring that the water that flows into Sarasota Bay and it flows into the Gulf is clean, that we have our seagrasses growing, that we have the fish and the fauna, that lives in the water, that they're able to live and habitate in those waters. This is one of the most important votes that you will take in 2022 when this vote comes up in November. Barring everything else that's on the ballot, I would, I can't advocate for you to vote one way or the other, but all I can do is educate you in terms of the importance of this vote. 25% of the money goes towards the schools and the school board. 75% is shared between the municipalities in Sarasota County for infrastructure. So I have spoken for about 15 minutes. It's 4:22. So David, I really want to open it up for questions that individuals may have. I know I don't have a lot of time, but I really want to open it up. There's so much I can speak about. We have the budget that's coming up for the next fiscal year. Last year we were able to roll back the millage rate. I hope that may have saved many of you who are on here a couple of dollars in your pocket that you can probably go to McDonald's and buy you a Big Mac. But my hope is that working with staff, working with the commission, we can take a look at what our budget looks like and see what we can do to either maintain the high level of service that we provide to you on a daily basis, without digging deep into our citizens and our taxpayers' wallets. So David, with that, let me just open it up to everyone and see what
let board members raise your hand, or Bob Perillo, why don't you have the first question for Marlon?
Yeah. Hi, Marlon. I was pleased to see that the governor gave the Bay Park $10.1 million a couple of weeks ago. And part of that project is for improvement of Hog Creek. Do you have any details or idea of what exactly they'll be doing to Hog Creek? Oh, I'm sure they'll be dredging and some perhaps replantings.
So Bob, you hit the nail on the head. Yes, so kind of similar to what we did. You answered the question for yourself. Kind of similar to what they did with the bayou that runs between Boulevard of the Arts and the Van Wezel in terms of cleaning that up, dredging it, making sure that a lot of the muck and sediment and heavy metals, that would be the same that would be done for Hog Creek. They don't have anything in detail yet. They'll be working with their environmental engineers to come up with what should be done with Hog Creek. But I have so much confidence in the Bay Park staff. They have done such a tremendous job with little oversight from the city. I am just excited to see what will happen as they take on each phase by each phase. And one of the things that they did recently was, if you take a look at one of the lawn bowling lawns, working with the lawn bowling club, took over one of the lawns, re-landscaped it, replanted it. This staff is doing a heck of a job, with that 53 acres. So I'm excited about it. Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Other board members, Kathy. You're muted, Kathy.
I apologize. I have a question for you, Marlon, regarding the February 14th meeting that's going to be taking place with Mr. Covers to share some of the zoning changes that he's going to propose for the commercial center and the commercial corridor downtown. What do you see as one of your biggest priorities, or something that you are looking to see come out of that? Or could you just share with a little bit of insight into that?
Kathy, awesome question. Really good question. And so, one of the things that, that has always bothered me, especially with the commercial corridors and the commercial centers, and I'll get to downtown in a while, is seeing a lot of these shopping centers that sit with a sea of asphalt, and it just cries out for some really good mixed-use development. And so one of the more exciting things that I am looking forward to when Mr. Cover does his presentation is what they've come up with to really take some of these strip centers, these commercial centers, and seeing what they're doing in terms of mixed use. And when I say mixed use, I really want to focus on housing and affordable housing. And one of the things that I was watching the news the other day, and someone was talking about how rents are now as much as mortgages in this community. We have to find a way to keep a lot of our workers, who help in our downtown areas, who help in some of these offices, whether they're teachers, whether they're waiters and waitresses, bank tellers. We have to find a way to keep them in our community. And so I am looking forward to seeing what type of mixed use comes out of the proposals for the commercial centers and the commercial corridors. It's kind of switching to downtown. Downtown, I think what I need to do with downtown is to kind of step back and kind of get a little bit more involvement from those of you who live in the downtown area on what you want to see for our downtown. For us to come out and say, this is what should happen to downtown. This is the type of uses should be in downtown. This is the type of density should be in downtown. This is the type of height should be in downtown. I think it's going to create a lot of angst. And so I am going to, you'll probably hear me recommend to the commission to kind of hold off on downtown. Let's kind of wait and work together with DSCA and some of our our constituents in the downtown area, and come up with a plan that I know we can't please everyone, but come up with a plan that at least the majority of individuals can somewhat say, okay, I can live with that. And so I am more excited about the commercial centers and commercial corridors than downtown. Downtown, I think downtown needs more work. And so, Kathy, just in a nutshell, that is what I can share right now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, and Patrick, I see your hands up.
Yeah, Marlon, picking up on that, and again, thank you for all that you and your staff are doing to engage. We especially appreciate Nick and the engineering and transportation planning, engaging on some of those projects, engaging with the residents and getting feedback and trying to make adjustments there. We understand, I know David has shared with you all the commercial development, the construction going on and all the new residential and all that you're doing to create more walkable city. Unfortunately, the construction and the closures of the sidewalks, the multi-use recreational trail closures because of the construction right up to property lines. Therefore, the construction overloads onto the public realm sidewalks. As we're going forward, is there anything that can be done to try and keep our pedestrian bicycle thoroughfares a little more open? We embrace the construction, but I know it's a challenge for you.
Yeah, really good question, Patrick. And many of you have visited big cities, and I don't know why we don't do that here in the city of Sarasota. I've been to New York multiple times, and again, those buildings are right up to the street, but yet they use a lot of scaffolding and create passageways for individuals to get under and get through and get around. And so it's probably something, Patrick, that we need to explore. You're right. Sometimes there's no need to close a sidewalk or to close a MRT, and we need to be a little bit more creative in terms of how we keep pedestrian ways open. And so you've given me something to think about, and I will make sure that I'm working with Nick. Nick is, what a really creative mind. Someone who's willing to really work outside of the box. Even coming from FDOT, we're not going to hold that against him. But let me talk to Nick in terms of what we can do to really ensure that pedestrian ways are kept open and kept safe in a construction zone.
Okay, and Ken, for you, sir.
Okay, Marlon, I have two comments. They aren't really questions, but one is jumping off from the comment you just made before you talked to Patrick, and that is relating to strategic planning for the city. Downtown is where the major residential development is going on right now, and downtown is where the major business development is. It's where the major cultural assets are in the city. A major part of the tax revenue for the city is generated downtown. And you're working on a lot of innovative projects downtown, like connectivity and pedestrian safety and complete streets. And so I know traditionally you have looked to CCNA for ideas and feedback on strategic planning. I'm hoping, since the urban core is really driving the direction of this city now, that you will give equal weight to input from DSCA as well as CCNA. The other comment I wanted to make had to do with the Van Wezel. Several of us have already been talking to Cheryl Mendelson about the Van Wezel. In fact, we did a survey for her for the usefulness of that 400-seat theater. But parking is an issue for us. And I know you're at the conceptual stage for this, and there are no answers to this question at this point, but we are concerned about parking for the Van Wezel in the future. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, and Ken, I know those were comments, but you are correct in terms of ensuring that our that constituency that lives in the downtown is given as much weight as CCNA. But I must say that downtown and our commercial centers, our commercial corridors, whether it's St. Armand's, downtown, the Newtown Business District, the Southside Business District, they belong to everyone in the city. But I agree with you that we will look towards that constituency that lives and works and has all the activity, the business
Pays for
exactly the commercial transactions happening. They know the heartbeat of what's happening there, and so we should include them. In terms of the parking for the Sarasota Performing Arts Center, the new one, we had engaged Walker Planning to do a study, working with Mark Lyons and working with Kimberly Horn, and we have come up with a determination as to how many parking spaces is needed for the new performing arts hall. Remember, a lot of new innovative ways of people getting back and forth. That is changing in terms of things like Uber and Lyft and water taxis, and we now have scooters and electric bikes. So we're going to be looking at all those things, Ken, in terms of the number of spaces that are needed. What we have right now at the Van Wezel for a 1,700 seat theater are not the same amount that we need moving forward for the 2,200 seats. And so we'll be looking at that. It'll be finalized once we get a little bit more into the details of the design.
Alan, and then one more that I think I'm going to take, but Alan, for you now.
Yes, thanks. I join everyone in thanking you. This has been a very good session. Just following up on that parking for the new Performing Arts Center. I think in addition to the number of spaces, we have the aesthetic question. And you kind of touched on this when you were talking about those strip malls. There would be nothing less attractive than having a beautiful performing arts center and having basically 1,200, 2,000 spaces around it. Even with all those things feeding into it that you just described, there's going to be a need, clearly, especially with the demographics of this area, to have on-site parking. And I would hope that the aesthetics of that parking would take a very, very high priority in the planning for it.
Really great question, really good foresight. Again, working with the Bay Park, even working with the Van Wezel Foundation, one of the things that we have stressed upon is that we want the building to stand out. We don't want to see a parking in front of this building. So the Bay Park Conservancy, working with Walker Planning, working with us, there will be surface parking. There will be parking under the building. It's about 140, 160 spaces. But all of those details are to be worked out. It will be screened. Right now, the Bay Park Conservancy got it was, I believe, $150,000 grant or $200,000 grant from FDOT to really landscape 41 between 10th Street and Boulevard of the Arts. And so they're going to be working on that in due course to really help beautify that section of 41 between 10th Street and Boulevard of the Arts. And then they'll continue working with us to make sure that, Alan, to your point, that we really have a really good, vibrant, very full landscape entrance, to the 53 acres. Not that you want to hide everything, but you want to really at least make it soft, but make it also inviting.
Hey, Marlon, I'm going to close with the last question, if I may. Money. You've mentioned the TIF money, the penny tax. Can you tell us a little about, we've got so many exciting projects, and really compliments to staff for moving some of these ahead and working with us in partnership. It's really been a great experience. But one of the funding sources could be impact fees, multimodal and park impact fees. And when it comes to the multimodal impact fees, I think you and I have discussed that there's been $5 million or something coming in from greater downtown, and not a lot of uses of that. Is that possibly going to change so that could be TIF money, penny tax money, grant money, and multimodal to get it done?
So David, again, I don't discriminate against any funding source. So again, obviously we don't control the park impact fees, as you are well aware and probably more educated than I am in terms of the park impact fees. That's held by Sarasota County for the city of Sarasota. And they basically kind of, we have to go to them and, identify the projects that we want to use it for and get into their budget. And if they have a project in the city that they want to use it for, they can use it. So, I would like to have a similar control of park impact fees that we have for the multimodal impact fees, which used to be the road impact fees. And so, I would like to work on that over the next year or two in terms of seeing how we can wrest that from Sarasota County. But again, with TIF, with Penny, using multimodal impact fees, using federal and state appropriations, using gas taxes, any source of revenue that we can use to really get these projects moving, we would look at. Obviously, we have to see also, David, by using these funds, what are we taking from that is also a priority. And so that is part of the balancing that we have to do when we take a look at some of these funds and some of these priority projects.
And we understand. So thank you. I think, folks, we are about out of the time we've allotted. So unless somebody's got a burning desire for a question, any of our other board members, I'd like to thank Peter. Anybody for the final question? Okay. Well, Marlon, thank you so much. You covered a lot of ground and kind of laser focused on some things, and compliments to staff and you with the job that's getting done. We really look forward to continuing to partner with you. Some of the things you said tonight are really great, and let us know how we can help and how we can be involved in zoning matters and other planning aspects. So we want to be true partners and good residents and do our share. So
yeah, David, again, just continue keeping us honest. I have a really great staff, and I thank you for recognizing that. I can't do this job without them. And so, one of the things that I've, tried to instill in them is to always be responsive and always to be accessible. And so I hope we've lived up to that. And so again, thank you. And maybe I'll see you in a year from now.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Have a good evening, sir.
Bye. Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. That was good.
I thought it was excellent.
That was really good. So I hope that was something to do every 9 months or so with Marlon. That was really good, and I learned some things. So that's always good. The next item we had on our agenda is a little bit of a housekeeping thing we put under new business, right, Patrick? And that was to review the associate members' benefits chart.
Yeah, let me bring that up here. Yeah, the question had been coming up about use of our member calendar, and we've had the associate events on there. We've been trying to encourage more of that. We're in the process of moving that to the new platform. But as we do that and encouraging more use, we wanted to be sure that there was an appropriate understanding of just how many events each member could do. And also by having it on the benefit sheet, it makes it more visible to the members that that's available and to make use of that as a benefit. And so that was an update we did here, both from the visibility standpoint, but also setting the limits here on 5 events per month posted on calendar. Didn't feel like anyone's going to exceed that. So that was the recommendation to go forward and make that one change. And so I would make the motion for the board to approve this update to the 2022 associate member benefits chart.
Second.
Question. Take questions.
Nope. Any discussion? Everybody good with that? I'm not seeing everybody because of what's on the screen, but is there anybody that has a concern about that? Then let's consider that unanimously adopted.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
On here, I'll leave this up here while we go through.
Yeah. And so the next item is the limited proxy. And Patrick, again, would you please take us through that?
Right, so we've sent out the notice of the annual members meeting to be on Thursday, March 24th, currently scheduled for 6 p.m. following the workshop. Because of the schedule of the speaker, we had to do the members meeting after the workshop instead of before, as we've done in prior years. So we'll be sending this out. The one thing here is to be voted on is the slate of directors. So we need to be sure we have majority returns, and so we'll be calling and asking people to return their proxy. But also we've sent out a call for nominations. We've yet to receive anybody, but clearly this is the opportunity for anybody who wishes to join the board or find out more about it. Please let us know, because before this goes out, we will add the names here to the proxy. The bylaws do not, I think the limit on number of board members is 20. So we're currently at 10, and we can add more to be put on the proxy. So
Yeah.
any comments, questions, or anyone who's not a board member who would like to ask about it?
Well, I would observe that I see many people. It looks like there's 45 people in our meeting today, and I see a number of familiar faces, people that seem to be engaged and possibly from differing areas of the downtown area that are maybe further represent. There's an opportunity for representation. So I would urge some of you, a number of you, we would love some more participation on our board, and we'd like to feel that in the last year we've, as Marlon outlined, we'd like to feel even in a COVID year that some things have moved ahead, and we'd like to kind of keep that momentum. I think one thing Marlon said to me that was so encouraging was the idea of engagement, further engagement with downtown residents on zoning or on some of these things. And I think so he's opened the door further on this. And so the more help we could get in keeping our committee structures alive and vibrant and working would be welcome. So please give a consideration to this in the coming weeks. And I'll be making some phone calls myself to some folks that I have in mind for potentials. So anybody?
One thing I would like to add to that for those people who are on the Zoom here, because we do have a large number, whatever you can do to promote DSCA within your own condos or your own, purview would be wonderful, to push the information, to have it sent out via mass email to the residents, to get this engagement that we seem to need, that the commission is looking for.
Other comments? Okay, Patrick, we're good to go in that one for now?
Yeah, Alan.
Yeah, it's just really a question, and I throw it out, and I'm not terribly concerned about this, but it's a matter of interest. I may be mistaken, but I think now the current composition of the board is such that each one is from a different condo. And I guess my question is, what is the advisability, or is there no problem? And I'm totally neutral about this. It's really just a question of having more than one person, and potentially you could have as many as 2 or 3 or 4 from a single condo, in terms then of creating a situation on the board where there's more power, for lack of a better word. So that's my question. It's the advisability of having more than one member from a condo on the board.
Currently, our bylaws don't allow that. Only one unit owner per condo association can serve on the board at any one time.
Well, okay, then probably, David, if you're going to reach out, and for those who may be on the call, I think that's a consideration. People ought to know about that. Rather than nominate themselves, they have someone nominate them and have to be turned down. That would be a shame. It would be best if they knew in advance.
Okay, well, you make a good point. So yes, okay. And Peter.
I just say that one of the avenues that could help is if somebody wants to get onto the board, maybe they could volunteer to join one of the committees,
Yes.
Catherine's city committee, or the homeless effort, or Patrick's, or Ken's arts and cultures committee. But that's a real good way to step up onto the board, even if you already have a rep on the board from your condominium, because there are times when those people want to step down and would feel more comfortable stepping down if they knew somebody was going to replace them from their condominium.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Also, as we've looked out there, where we've been missing representation on our board, and we've had it in the past, is from the condos along Gulfstream and I guess North Palm and Golden Gate area. So, and some of the newer ones, obviously the Mark is on now, but some of the other newer condos we're trying to reach out to also. So, back to you, David. So the agenda item here is to approve the proxy. And I would make a motion for the board to approve this draft proxy to be sent out with updates to add directors as they come in, if any further directors are added.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, looks like that's unanimous to me. So thank you, Patrick.
Okay. Third item, next item was we had a new item added. We just had to join this morning as a gold associate and paid online, Fifth Third Bank. And I think I saw Jen Poppin. If she wants to unmute and quickly introduce herself. So the board can then vote to approve.
Yes, Jen Poppin here with the Third Bank. Very excited to be part of the association and look forward to getting involved.
All right, so I moved that the board approve Fifth Third Bank as a new gold associate.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimously adopted, and welcome, Jen and Fifth Third. We're glad to have such a substantial bank and one with such a reputation to be an associate member. So welcome to you and your colleagues. Okay, then moving along to old business, Jamie, you want to give us an update on our grant application, please?
Yep, the grant was submitted and the review took place on the 28th of January. And I reached out to Nancy Kelly to find out when we would be advised of the results. And she said on March 21st after the city commission meeting.
Okay, and for those of you who are new to this is a neighborhood partnership grant. And it's for $3,000. Jamie, thanks to you for putting that grant application together and working with Nancy Kelly. We're hopeful that that will be approved. So thanks for the work on that.
Yeah.
Next, city update between Kathy Sellers and me on the president's report. Kathy, do you have anything for us?
Just a couple of really quick things. I think Pat Gannon might talk a little bit about. I noticed you were at the DRC meeting today, but the DID meeting, they just went through their Fresh Friday. I think cleaning the sidewalks, taking care of that. One of the things that was a topic was the expansion of the DID. And to include perhaps Rosemary and the Burns Court. Apparently that's failed in the past, but I mean, I think that they're continually looking to expand the DID. Talked a little bit about the New Year's Eve. Ron Soto's not doing it anymore, and that may completely change the way that that's handled. But as far as the commission meeting goes, I did bring up, I wanted to talk about a little bit the February 14th meeting with Marlon Brown. The big impact to us would be the downtown commercial center, that they are going to be looking at some perhaps zoning changes. I don't know what Mr. Covers is going to propose or what he's preparing, but that might be of interest there. The other thing that was discussed at the last commission meeting was the micro mobility and micro transit. Mark Lyons did a presentation, and that looks like that is being forwarded, and they had someone present with an agreement. The other thing, the Thorpe Park, we all know that was voted down to allow Jonathan Mitchell with his proposal for the what he was looking at doing in Thorpe Park. Other than that, I think we're going to cover some of the other things and other topics here.
Okay. And as far as the president's report, Marlon did a pretty good job of running down projects and initiatives. I think he did a really good job. I'm not sure what I can add. When we get to the Rosemary District section of the agenda, I've got a couple of specific updates there. With that said, I think I'm just going to pass at this point and move along to committee status for.
Hey, David?
Oh, yes.
Were you going to cover charter review?
Oh,
Yeah, thanks.
Peter had
Patrick.
okay. All right. Peter, you had sent that around and I forgot that was under this section. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Just quickly, I put a short document together. I'm not going to read it, obviously, but much of it on that first page is informational, what the charter review is about, how we got on those committees and what we're supposed to do. And then we will have our final meeting possibly, although we could have another one by consensus beyond that. But the February 14th meeting will be the final one when the city staff brings back to us language that addresses the changes that we have suggested be made to the Charter Review Committee. And the Charter Review Committee then will approve a document at that time that will be forwarded to the City Commission for their review and approval, which I think will, if everything stays on schedule, would take place at the March 7th City Commission meeting, I believe. Basically, the largest items that we looked at was changing the form of government a bit to include an elected mayor who is a voting member of the City Commission, but does not have veto power over the actions of the commission. And in order to do that, we would go to 4 single-member districts with an at-large mayor election to accomplish this. So that recommendation will be made. The elected mayor won't have a great deal of power, won't be able to appoint charter officials, department directors, advisory board members, etc., but will be the voice of, will become the voice of the city. Will serve a 4-year term. Will somebody that's approved and elected by the electors of the voters of the city, and we're hoping to make that a little bit more of a emphasis without stripping some of the, and largely stripping the ceremonial part away from the present mayor. In order to do that, the vice mayor still would be selected at the second regular Sarasota City Commission meeting in November. Concurrent with that, the city manager will still be appointed by the City Commission and will still report to the City Commission for all items of operation and administration. Couple of other things, we've changed we're suggesting drafting language in the non-discrimination section to recognize gender identity and to use gender neutral language throughout the charter. Beyond that, with regard to commissioner's salary, we are recommending that the commissioner's salary be raised to $40,000 per year with a 2% annual increase, and that the elected mayor's salary be $45,000 a year with a 2% annual increase. And those would be effective upon the date of approval by the voters. We had a long discussion over several sessions, and the Article 4, Section 2 enactment of ordinances and resolutions at subsections I, numbers 1 and 2, J, numbers 1, 2, and 3, and K would be stricken from the charter, and that would be mostly in that there would be not require a supermajority vote to change the land use plan, et cetera, and the comprehensive plan. For some other things are on that report. You can take a look at them. We wanted to make sure that the the charter officials, the city manager, the city auditor and clerk, and the city attorney, they were going to be removed from office, that there would be enough evidence for their removal to justify a supermajority vote rather than simple majority vote. And we're recommending that those positions would be protected by having a supermajority vote to remove them. A discussion that almost was within every meeting was about the problem of charter officials and not charter officials, commissioners and the elected mayor, making sure that there was a clear path to sanctions and removal should they not perform up to the standards that we think they should. So right now, language is being drafted that the Charter Review Committee will review on the February 14th, and that the language would address the various sections of the charter that speak to removal and qualifications of office, forfeiture of office, investigations, and recall elections. It seems that we have all of these in the charter, but they're sprinkled throughout, and there isn't a consistent, easily followed procedure to do that. And we're looking to tighten that up and make it very clear what the process would be. The last thing I want to mention is that we did recommend adding to the charter a requirement that a supermajority vote of the city commission would be required for the sale of any city-owned property, with the exception of that property that is listed on the generated list for affordable housing. Affordable housing lists would be exempt from city property being sold for the building of affordable housing. All other city-owned property to be sold would require a supermajority vote on the part of the city commission. The only other thing I'd like to say is that every single sentence in all 12 articles, 28 pages, was reviewed by the charter committee, and each article and section was reviewed separately and discussed, and all of those provisions that were not changed received their own affirmative vote from the committee membership of no change. So it wasn't that we just cherry picked a couple of things and selected it. We reviewed every sentence of the charter on the way of making our recommendations. I really appreciate having had this opportunity. I learned a lot. I thought I knew a lot, and it turned out I didn't know a lot, and I've learned a lot. So this is a great experience. If it ever comes up that you have a chance to do something like this, I would encourage you to work hard to get on that committee. Thank you.
Peter, thank you. And I've watched some of the committee's work, and I applaud to see what you've done in the detail and the give and take back and forth between the committee members is really something to watch and be proud of as a civic process. So thanks for that update.
David, this is Jim. Peter, I also applaud.
Can a board member ask a question first?
Oh, was there a question?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Two board members have questions.
Okay, I'm just seeing the document, so I'm not seeing hands raised. Ken, for you, sir.
This is
really down so we can see. Thank you.
This is a comment with respect to Peter's remark about the addition of gender identity and expression to the charter. The city adopted or amended this human rights ordinance in the city in 2015 to add gender identity and expression as protected classes. So this would create consistency between the charter and the city ordinance.
Okay. Any other, Alan?
Yeah, Peter, I have a question, two questions. The first one might obviate the second. Right now, there are 5 districts for commission. Is that correct?
No, there are three single member districts. two at-large
okay.
commissioners
All
and
right.
3
Yeah.
member commissioners. Yeah.
Okay, that solves my question then, because I was, in my mind, I was thinking of 5 districts. If you make 1 at large, then there were only 4 represented, but forget it.
Yes, right.
I take it back.
But part of in answering part of that comment is one of the considerations was to spread the single member representation to a smaller audience so that more people could feel represented by a single member rather than having 3 larger member districts. Should have 4 smaller member districts for representation.
Okay, Patrick, you had your hand up, and in the interest of time, Jim, unless you've got something burning.
Quickly, Peter, we had a question raised by Kurt Chance from the Revo. Did you have a chance to talk to him directly, or was this concern just more in general providing this? I think he was asking whether DSCA should take a position on the Charter Review Committee's recommendation. So,
well, let me just comment. Liz Albert nominated me to be on this committee to represent the city on this, as each one of the representatives did. I did not represent DSCA on this committee, although it's hard not to have that in my background and in the back of my mind as I was discussing things. But I wasn't representing DSCA on the Charter Review Committee as a member. I was representing a voter in the city of Sarasota as a member.
Okay, Jim.
My one question would be, I think it was raised a question as to whether any of the proposed changes have a higher impact, negative impact on downtown residents. And the removal of the 4 votes supermajority for changes in future land use could have significant impacts on downtown area where there's a lot of changes going on, and future land use can change with developers wanting this or that change. So how was that resolved, Peter?
We looked at the entire city. There's a lot of comprehensive plan implications and a number of things that are happening throughout the city. And we were very concerned that we had set, or that was set there was a approval bar of 80% of the commission would have to approve it. We thought that 60% was, we started to look at it from that point of view rather than a 3-2 vote, a 4-1 vote. We were looking at how much representation did 80% require as opposed to 60%, which is still larger than the simple 51% out of the majority. So we had a long discussion, went back and forth. We heard some public comment. We received some letter writing, and this was believed by a majority of the committee to be an appropriate change. Now, you need to understand that none of these changes are going to go forth unless the city commission approves them. So I've been saying to people, if you don't like what we did, then you've got another chance to go, and your voice can be heard at the city commission, and they will be able to either accept or reject anything that you have a comment about on our recommendations.
Thank you, Peter.
And I've got to suggest we move on, Jim. I'm sorry, but
I would like to thank Jim, though. However, as from my point of view, Jim, thank you. I know 10 years ago you served on this committee. You did a great job, and I got some inspiration and ideas from you. So I want to thank you for that.
I think you did a better job, Peter.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And again, moving on, can we now move on to our committee updates, and Ken on the Arts and Cultural Committee, please?
Thank you, David. I think most of the board members know, if not all of them know, that Mary Davis Wallace has proposed that the city create a public art master plan. And as a part of that process, that effort, she has scheduled 3 separate meetings for parts of the community to provide input into the development of that plan. The first meeting was held in January, and that included artists, professional artists. And the second meeting is this month, February, and that's for business interests. And the third meeting is for residents, and that will be in March. So the Arts and Cultural Committee has been working very hard to develop a proposal that the DSCA can provide to the input at the March meeting for the plan. And we've divided it into 4 parts, and all the board members have received copies of these. And Patrick, I wonder if you can pull up the first of these 4 documents, which would be the staff role in the acquisition of public art.
Sure.
I think everybody knows that there is no process. There is acquisition of public art, however, but the process kind of lurches along. And a number of ad hoc actions occur during that process. The first document, which is of the 4 that I want to talk to you about, and which we want the board to agree to allow us to take to the March meeting, is the suggested staff role in the acquisition of public art for the city of Sarasota. And this document would provide for an Office of Public Art staffed by public art professionals who develop a public art master plan and of course revise it as needed, which includes a process for the acquisition of public art. The process is underway, but the challenge will be assuring staffing with qualified personnel. And that's always going to be a challenge both for the staff and for the Public Art Committee. So I hope people have read that and see what we've put in there. It's really very simple. It's a lot of words, but it's very simple. And that is that the staff Office of Public Art creates a public art master plan for the city, which covers every level of the city involved in that process. Are there any questions about that one? The staff role? Okay, the second one is the suggested role for the Parks and Recreation Board. And that's a pretty easy one because the Parks and Recreation Board does not have any input into the issue of public art. It simply will discuss and make recommendations to the city committee primarily on the location of a piece of public art in the park so it doesn't conflict with other uses of a particular park. Are there any questions about that one? Okay, the third one is the Public Art Committee role for the acquisition of public art. There we are. And this one would play the major role with the acceptance of a piece of public art for the city because its staffing would be comprised primarily of people with the education and or experience to make decisions about the acceptability of public art for the city's collection. Currently, interior decorators, antique dealers, and graphic artists and others are qualified to be members of this board, but really are not qualified to make decisions about public art. So hopefully, as a part of this process, the city would also revise the qualification standards for the Public Art Committee. But this would take the decision-making about the public art, the quality of the art, the appropriateness of the art, and put it in a place where there is the most qualification for it. Even at the federal level, you know, there are federal agencies with scientific expertise or artistic expertise. I work for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. One of the things that I know from my experience in my career is that the U.S. Supreme Court does not interfere with decisions where it has no expertise. It defers to the executive branch agencies which have the expertise. And that's what I'm hoping we can model with this comment here.
Okay, Ken, what are you looking for today?
Approval from the board to go to the meeting in March that Mary Davis Wallace is hosting and provide this input saying this is the way we think you should help to develop this public art master plan.
And was there consensus on this amongst the Public Art Committee?
Yes.
I move that we adopt this.
Second.
Any further discussion? Is there any more, Patrick?
Just real quickly, Ken, I know we had engaged with Mary Davis Wallace, and would you kind of explain to the other board members just are taking a position in suggesting to the city how they go about structuring this?
Well, Mary Davis is asking us for input. I'm sure she's getting input, as I already said, from other parts of the community. And when she gets all of that input together, she will make some decisions about it. And then ultimately, I assume it'll go to the city commission for approval.
Ken?
Yes.
When you use, and I understand that there are other parts of the city that are involved in this, but are you aware of their drafts that they are proposing, that they're coming with? Have you been in discussion with them regarding what
With
is?
the city staff?
No, with other like CCNA or, you know.
No,
Okay.
This is representing our committee's conclusions, not
Okay,
anybody else's.
okay, thanks.
And we're asking the board to adopt them as the board's position to be presented at the input meeting in March, the public input meeting.
Peter,
I
can you
see.
help me with a parliamentary question? Is input or our position, or can you help me nuance this as far as what options might be available?
I don't
I
know,
don't think
Peter.
he heard you.
Peter,
Who are you asking this?
Peter.
Peter, I was asking kind of a parliamentary question. Ken, is this an input from the DSCA board? Is this a?
That's not the way I heard the motion.
Okay.
Correct me, Ken, if you want to, but I heard the motion is that the DSCA board would approve essentially this document in taking a support position of it. Is that right, Ken, or not?
Yeah, that's essentially it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Any further discussion?
To clarify the answer, I think even further, is we're voting to approve this as our document, but ultimately it's going to the commission as the recommendations of DSCA as to how this thing should be structured.
No, my understanding is this is DSCA's input to Mary Davis Wallace.
That's correct.
Not to the commission. We're not taking.
I misspoke.
We're not presenting to the commission.
It's our recommendations to Mary Davis Wallace.
Okay, so we
Right.
have the discussion.
Right.
We've got a motion on the floor. All in favor of?
Well, wait a minute. I don't know that people understand what the motion is on the floor. I don't know, Ken, if you want to take a chance to restate the motion so that it only has one set of provisions in it or not?
Well, the residents of downtown are being given an opportunity to provide input into Mary Davis's effort to create a public art master plan. And this is designed to represent DSCA's input into that meeting.
Okay, that's
We're not
very clear.
asking
So
her
this
to
is
adopt
a
it.
motion to approve DSCA's informational input to
Exactly.
Mary Davis. Okay.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and as the second to that motion, I agree with it.
Yes, that's very well put.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. So adopted. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah. Thanks, Ken.
Moving on, Jamie, the events update on the Jenny Rowe meeting. What I guess I'm signed up for this one. Let me just say we've made a fair bit of progress in a framework for Jenny Rowe's visit. We've got a subcommittee, a meeting on this. We have a venue locked in. We have Jenny's timetable locked in. We have got a pretty close to final, what we call an event brief for the objectives and the targets for this. We will be using a panel format where Jenny will be presenting her restorative cities framework. And for that panel format, I'm happy to say John Thaxton has agreed to moderate the panel, which will consist of a mental health professional. Mary Davis Wallace will be one of the panelists. And we are working on, I'm drawing a senior moment, but we're going to have three panelists. Craig Soretta, a managing broker of Sotheby's, kind of representing kind of the more financial interest in economic, from an economic standpoint. So again, stay tuned for some further information on this. Again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but thanks to Jamie for helping pull this together. The arrangements are coming and we'll have further details. We're also working on some additional press members of the media articles in advance of the event to get some more participation. So things are coming along.
David, if I could just say, if there's anyone on the call, board or otherwise, who would like to participate on our event planning committee, let David know. This is turning out to be a pretty good event. And there's a side event that's being planned for the Friday after, the March 25th, with the business community and other groups. So we're really looking at the positive impact this is going to have on our community. And it also addresses a lot of what Marlon Brown was talking about, was engaging with the downtown residents to provide input on future downtown master plans. So the restorative cities is all about planning for a better future, for well-being.
Great. And then on the lawn bowling condo challenge, we unfortunately had to change that to some extent because of weather. And Ted, thanks. Do you want just a couple words about plans for rescheduling that?
I talked to Patrick about it some, and we kind of agreed that maybe April would be a good time to try it again. So we'll talk about it again in March and April, or in February and March, or basically in the March meeting, we'll talk about it again.
Okay, good. Thank you for all the work you did on that. The other thing here is a green tech event. Jamie, do you have a few words to say about that?
We have a pretty good calendar set up, and Chris and I are following that pretty closely. So we have a 3-month deadline to come up with what we're going to do, and we're working on the food and beverage and the venue and everything. And those are the preliminary stages. But yeah, it looks like it'll be a green tech event. Kristen started working on some just kind of preliminary venues, and we'll keep you posted on that as that moves along.
Yeah, and when we say a greener, more efficient buildings, along with, there's certainly going to be an electric vehicle component to the seminar, but kind of a combination of the two, which we think is very topical as electrical vehicle penetration continues to move along. On the Patrick, green space?
Nothing new on the report.
Okay. Peter, on homelessness.
There's been a lot of work going on, but by me and not the committee. So I've got to catch the committee up. I had my last meeting today of people and resources. So I'm going to forego a committee report until I can get the homeless committee together to hear what I've done about it.
Okay. On health and safety, the COVID numbers for today were not available for me to do the charting work. Last week, there had been a decrease of about 27% in our downtown, our city zips, but it had been up 200% from the middle of January. So we're all kind of anticipating those numbers edging down, but I don't have any data from today. When I get that, we'll get it charted and out to folks, but still concerning and really troubling, but those urging everybody to be cautious out there. Transportation Committee, Roger is away. A couple of Marlon mentioned the 41 and Boulevard of the Arts intersection where a group of us, the Transportation Committee, engaged with Nick Patel and the Chief Transportation Planning woman, Alvy, and some ideas have been presented, some initial feedback presented. Let's just say this is a work in progress where they are engaging with us. There are some interesting decisions that will be made, and there'll be further input coming in. I would note that in addition to the DSCA Transportation Committee having met with Nick and Abby, the RDA is putting together a group of their folks to provide input also. So, I mean, they're really right next door and see what their interest and objectives and concerns might be to some of these proposals. I do note that it looks like the city is interested in trying to move that ahead to the extent they can find the money and hopefully a consensus or an agreement on some kind of approach that makes sense. I shared with the board members a drone work, Commissioner Alpert. I've sent that to her to draw her into this conversation and for her advice and involvement as we move forward. But certainly it's going to be some interesting decisions here. Kathy?
I just wanted to say that, when we had that conversation with Nick Patel with the transportation regarding that intersection, I thought that was excellent. And for them to come forward and to get input, now they're looking to RDA. I think that is, I hope to continue to have those sorts of reach outs to DSCA and to, the affected communities so that we can get input. Because I thought the suggestions were really great. And I think that it was genuine on their part.
And there's some genuine concerns, and we're going to have to try and work the way through that. So that's to be continued. On the EV Charger Committee, Alan, you have an update for us there?
Very, very briefly, last month, we distributed the proposed survey draft, and I got input from several people and incorporated those suggestions into the final draft. And I think that was distributed to you today. It still made me mark as a draft, but nonetheless, it's essentially the final one that incorporated everyone's changes. We've since contracted with SurveyMonkey, and the document has been done in the right format for SurveyMonkey. And we'll be sending that out, presumably, I think, to building managers, but we can discuss that further, of the member condos. The point of all of this is to create a database, not only of those who have already installed or in the process of installing, and as a guide for those who have not and who are contemplating doing that. So we are moving forward. Hopefully within the next few weeks, we can get that survey out. Patrick is getting that out. And then we will compile the results and then share it with all the member organizations.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would add that it's a first-class survey, very, very topical. And I think that leading up to this green tech kind of workshop coming up, it'll be some interesting food for thought. I should also add that Longboat Key, their condominium association, is going forward with a similar survey amongst their members, and be interesting to see what kind of results we get. There's nothing, the Bay Park Conservancy, Bob?
I just distributed today the latest construction update. It actually showed up in my inbox about 3:15. So you all have that. And in our newsletter, I submitted the bullet points from the last board meeting. So I think everyone has the latest information on the Bay Park.
Okay, thank you. And then Ted, CCNA, any update there?
unmute. Now I'm unmuted. We had, the meeting was on the 8th, which was right after our meeting. Mayor Arroyo was gave his vision of the city. They talked about dog parks, which evidently our mayor is very interested in, former mayor is very interested in. And also, they're talking about having some kind of city discussion on ADA compliance throughout the city, which could be very expensive. So I mean, it's something that everybody's looking into. And of course, they're interested in Paul Thorpe Park, and they got behind us there. And I think we greatly appreciate that from the CCNA as well. That's about it.
Okay, thanks. And when it comes to the Rosemary District Association, Marlon covered some of that. The really exciting news is a survey is underway for looking at Boulevard of the Arts and 10th streetscape input from residents, and to get that to Kimley Horn to fold into their design concepts. And then as far as the Rosemary Park goes, you understand that the demo seems to be, it's going to happen sometime. But we have an additional survey there looking for further input on 3 different specific design concepts, which will be narrowed to 2 and then to 1. So both of those projects, very exciting, are moving ahead. So I think that's about what I've got from the Rosemary. Okay, at this point, Jamie, between you and Kristen, do you want to take it away at this point?
I think Kristen usually covers the platinum member. Is she here? I think.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
I'm here. Thank you guys. Great job as usual. So much going on. And I think that's what you're seeing in the associate member area. We're very interested, and you're growing there, and we're growing here too. So welcome, Jen. I don't know if you remember, we met before COVID. So welcome to the team. Let's start with our platinum members. We're so thankful for their support of all the DSCA's efforts. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order and reach out to me. We do have so many new people that maybe I don't see your names here or associating you with your company. So I'm going to start with Lori at Angius and Terry. And remember, we're going to say something new.
Right.
Not a lot new going on. We added a new marketing person in Jacksonville, and we have an additional attorney in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm going to be a grandma.
Congratulations.
So that's all we have to say.
Okay. Well, next up, we have Cadence Bank. I believe Donna's here. Hi, Donna.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, good. I wasn't sure if I was on mute or not. So something new. Interesting. Well, I could say that we finally have some warm weather after that cold week last week. That's new. So we're thankful for that. Cadence Bank is so excited about all of the things that downtown Sarasota is doing, and the activity that's going on within Sarasota, and all of the different meetings and everything. I go back and share it with Riva and Sarah and Melody, and that we're just excited that we can be a part of it somehow, even just by being on this board or being at any of the other events. But Cadence Bank is here to help in all of our deposit services and lending. So give Riva or I or anyone of the team a call.
Absolutely. And real quick, are you still merging, and what are you staying Cadence, or is there a new name we should know about?
Good question. We did merge in the end of October with Bancorp South. We are keeping the Cadence Bank name. So okay. It will grow us out through Alabama and Tennessee, and just continue to do the services here. We're now in Georgia also, and in Texas.
Okay, good. Good to know. Okay, my group is probably falling in the middle here, but I saw Jeff on here earlier, Jeff McDuffie with Lighthouse. You still here? Oh, this is your time you need to be on. I think we lost Jeff. So before we, I think we only have one more gold member, unless I'm wrong out there. Is there another platinum member that I missed? If so, I'll circle back, but I believe I also saw Deanna Sada on here earlier with Berg Simpson. Hi, Deanna.
Hi, guys. Thank you. This is just always wonderful. I just wanted to use my time, instead of talking about us, you've heard about us, to say to Kathy's point earlier about spreading information about DSCA's efforts to as many people as possible. I happen to have the privilege to be asked to speak pretty regularly. So I speak to unit owners and homeowners and condominium board members, managers, all sorts of people around the community. So if the DSCA board wishes, if you want to draft a couple of lines so that I can just be a mouthpiece to talk to the folks that I speak to pretty regularly around Sarasota or whatever areas that we need to talk to about anything that DSCA wants to do. As a member of DSCA, I'm more than happy and would be honored to be your mouthpiece to spread messages about anything that I can do. I'll let you draft whatever you want me to say, but I just wanted to throw that offer out there.
Nice. Thanks, Deanna. Just if you're wondering if attorneys are stuffy, Deanna spoke on my panel yesterday in Tampa. They are not stuffy. They're a lot of fun. And can I share your secret about your toes? Or do you want to do it?
Yes, sure.
She came to the panel and her a little early, so she had time for a pedicure. So she came in those little flip flops that you have.
Yes.
It's really cute. Something new, right? So and on those lines, I know Lori and Deanna would agree there's a lot going through our legislative session on building inspections. So we will stay tuned to hear more from them as that moves along. My members, what's new? I have CBiz Insurance. I think I mentioned they're doing their own meetings at the Sarasota Yacht Club. So, but they've moved their meeting in February to tomorrow. There's an emergency professional. It's not Ed McCrane, but it's the manatee. Sorry, I forgot his name. He's speaking tomorrow. If you want to reach out to Matt and see their seats available, you can definitely do that. He's going to give us our forecast of storms this year. And of course, Matt will talk about insurance and how that works together. It's not good. We don't need a storm right now. And then you know that Forge merged with Socotec. Is Michael, are you on? Do you want to talk about Socotec? Terry? Okay, we have a new rep for Socotec. Her name is Terry Phelps. She's on, but maybe she doesn't want to talk right now, and that's fine. Are you there?
Hey, y'all, I'm here. Yes, I am.
So
I am the new. Yep, yeah. I'm the new regional business development manager for Socotec, and I will be handling the Tampa to Punta Gorda area for them, doing their business development, and I'm super excited to be a part of all of the groups. So thank you.
Yeah, all of your engineering needs, they can definitely handle that. And we look forward to having Terry meet everybody. With professional plumbing, I apologize. Some of you asked me for that list of the 13 items that Surfside Task Force had put together for the legislative session that buildings will need to do as far as inspections. And I had not sent that out. If you asked me for that last time, I haven't sent it out yet because that list has changed, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't give in any false information and scare everybody about what's happening. But plumbing is staying on that list. So professional plumbing just told me today they are 2 weeks out, and everybody's probably going 2 weeks out. That's terrible. Ask the other ones, they're like 10. So I was excited to hear too. Of course, emergencies might be a little bit different. Right Way is gearing up for a new office on Longboat Key. And we're doing a lot with the chamber there. They have moved their event date for that opening of the professional center at the chamber. And I believe that is on February 24th. Yep, February 24th. So let me know if you guys want to go to that. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Kristen. We appreciate the update. Folks, we are a little bit over, but this is a time where we customarily open up for member representative questions or comments. If you have a burning desire to weigh in at this point, we'd ask you to be brief if you would, please. Is there anybody?
I got a quick one. David. What's going on with the symphony? Has anybody heard anything?
I have not heard anything, no.
I mean, that kind of was the silent elephant in the room when Marlon was talking. He didn't make a single mention of it.
Right, right. Okay, well, I think that's a wrap. Our next meeting is March 2nd, and we hope it to be in person. And Bob, I hope Broadway Promenade would be comfortable at having us back at that point, but stay tuned for further information on that. But March 2nd at 4 o'clock, please. So if there are no final further comments, I thank everybody and for attending. I think Marlon's remarks were very valuable to hear, and thanks everybody for being here. So with,
Thank you, David.
Consider ourselves adjourned. Thank you.